Hello everyone, welcome back to another Conversations with Projektor. Today we start with the topic, my favorite tool got discontinued. Before I go, you can contribute topics for this series on my Discord server.
I hate it Live Enhancement Suite is discontinued for Live 12 users. Now I can no longer use it. Why not just upgrade it like other developers do?
Did they discontinue it? Now I'm really glad that I never upgraded to Live 12.
I've determined it's currently no longer worth the trouble to continue development on the Live Enhancement Suite. Both me and Kitty Whiskers, who has helped maintain the Mac branch, will not be updating the program to add Live 12 compatibility. As always, feel free to use the current version of Live Enhancement Suite, or to fork and modify the source code to adjust it to your needs if necessary. Back when alias launched, I was very passionate about Ableton Live, and at the time I thought it was so close to being perfect. I'm not a great programmer by any means, but I thought maybe a few band-aid fixes could be enough. I didn't do it in the most pretty way, but yeah. For a few years it definitely was enough. Through the success of the program I managed to get in touch with the development team over at Ableton. I told them about the things I had learned from trying to listen to the community, and I was open to conversation. It seemed to me like the rapid spread of my crappy fix proved that I properly understood at least part of what their power users wanted, but unfortunately they weren't interested in talking to me at all.
That's very annoying. If somebody is actively out there trying to fix your application and as a developer you don't even reach out to them or want to talk to them if they reach out to you, you could update it by yourself. I could maybe look into it, but I don't really know if I want to spend the time doing that.
I did mention that ideally I'd want most of the features in Live to become part of the program natively, and that I encourage them to make my program irrelevant. The goal is to make music after all. It took Ableton 4 years, but I feel like we've finally reached that point. Most of Lay features other than the quick menu and the timers are in some way or another part of Ableton Live 12.
I hate this because this is the only feature that I really use it for.
If you're looking for an alternative of the quick menu, I suggest you pick up a Max device called Shortcut Buddy by the talented Noir Labs. The timer can be replaced by one of many Max for Live timer devices found on Google, like this one I just found.
I mean, it makes sense if you don't want to continue developing it, but for me personally, it's another reason for me to just stick with Live 11, because this is just so quick to work and the menu is just so quick to work. And frankly, I don't really feel the need to update to 12 for now. So it's annoying that they discontinue it, but I do understand why you want to do that. I understand why you would want to maybe move on to a different project or something like that as well.
Easy trick for grid synths.
Anyway, what I want to do is I want to make some grid synths, because what I want to do is make a tutorial on grid synths, and I already have one particular thing in here that I can talk about, which is this stuff. Some very cool sound design going on in that part over there. We also have these things actually. Which I would say is also, you could also classify as a grid synth, even though it's made in a different way. It's made using the combination tables that are part of that tone spec that I talked about before. It is just a very easy patch. Maybe what we can implement is a hybrid between the two, where we design part of the sequence using the combination tables track. So what that means is you just go into the tone spec volume 2. There's full table downloads in here, which allows you to scroll throughout all of the tones. And crucially, what that allows you to do is something like this, where you just set up kind of like a random modulation in an LFO of 1 bar. And you assign that to the wavetable position here. Let's give it some detune here. And there's going to be a few that you may not like, so you can move it around.
I'm slowly producing every form of Psy.
Do you listen to Deep Jungle Psy? Do you mean like Deep Jungle Walk by Asterix? Otherwise, I don't know what you mean by that. I might have, if you're able to describe it, I might be able to tell if I've listened to it. It's like a dark forest mix or something. I've never heard of it. That does sound cool though. Maybe what you could do is post some stuff in the Discord here, in the music I like section, maybe a mix of stuff that you have from that kind of psytrance, and I'll take a listen to it. It's always interesting to find new subgenres of psytrance, not so much because I want to produce it immediately. As I've stated before, as a long-term project, as maybe throughout my whole career, I do want to eventually make an EP in like every subgenre. So I'm working on a high-tech thing right now, and I have like one dark psy kind of project that is like half finished. So I'm slowly working up to exploring some of the other subgenres as well. And it's always nice to have a few influences ready to draw inspiration from. Every subgenre, that would be 1,000 tracks. I know it's just like I go subgenre by subgenre and I'll see how far I'll get. And it just allows me to explore every interesting subgenre that I find inside of psytrance.
Which scale do I write in?
Are you producing on a musical scale? Yes, I'm writing in Frisian. So that's a minor with the second note a semitone lower. And in this case, I'm writing in G sharp. So it's essentially G sharp minor. But if you have the minor key, you can see that this note doesn't exist in the normal minor key. Normal minor would look like this. So I take the second note of the scale and just turn that down a semitone, and then you get to the Frisian scale. Why do you use it? It just has a little bit more of an ethnic sound to it when you do the melodies. So for example, this melody over here. Versus this melody over here. This sounds a little bit more euphoric, whereas this sounds a little bit more mystical, I would say. I don't know why that would be the case, but that's just the way that I feel with this particular sound. So that's why I write in the Frisian scale as opposed to the normal minor scale. Frisian, dominant, Hungarian, and some gypsy scales also work well too. I don't know too much about music theory and stuff like that, so I cannot pitch in on that. Maybe see what I did there? Pitch. I cannot really weigh in on that conversation.
Why my kick and bass sound so good?
Your kick and bass is mixed to perfection. Thank you. I'm really happy with the cohesion of the bassline actually. This is going to be a little bit of a preview of a product that I have coming up. But I essentially have this bass tables pack over here, where I have a whole bunch of different wavetables. You can see different curvatures, different frequencies. You can imagine how many different things there are in here in terms of wavetables. There's actually 3,000 divided over 3 categories over here. And with my preset, I can just take the preset, take in one of the wavetables, just select one of the wavetables from the no subcategory. And whichever one that I choose, I can just test it if it works. Each wavetable is actually made out of like 8 wavetables, technically. In that it's 8 files, but they all kind of contain one continuous wavetable. And this is what allows me to get the tone from the kick and bass, together with some other tricks as well, in that I am lowering with the notes that I'm playing the level a little bit to make sure that they're all level matched. So that's the difference in this patch. And the other thing that I've been messing around with is the phase of the sub bass in regards to this thing over here. So there's a lot of cool stuff going on in this bass sound. I'm glad that you think that it sounds nice. What element is responsible for the sub bass? Only the kick. Both the kick and the bass are. So in this case, the bass line has no sub bass over here, but the sub bass is actually sitting in this wavetable over here. I have a very long video that kind of works up to this patch, the ultimate guide to kick and bass. Around halfway through, a little more than halfway through, we're building up to this patch over here with all of the processing that you see in here. Now, of course, this is a little bit more developed as I said, I recently created these wavetables over here, which have a whole bunch of different tonalities and stuff like that, so that it's just a lot more versatile. In the original ultimate guide, I just had one type of wavetable, the M3 from phase processed normalized wavetable that I sell in my wavetables pack. So this is just kind of like an extension on that preset. If you're, and I say this in the video as well once the video comes out on this particular product, if you already have the sub shifter auto sub control bass patch of mine and you purchase the bass tables and you use these no subs in here, you're going to have a massive amount of different tonalities and stuff like that. And you'll be able to basically create your bass lines in this way, get any tonality that you really want, and then from there always have a clean bass line as long as you don't do any phase shifting on the bass line. And as you can see, we're not doing that. We have some stereo generation. We have a little bit of EQ, which doing a little bit of phase shift, but not enough to be a problem. Same is true with the filter rack, and then this is turned off. This is for transitions, and this is just volume, so no phase shift over there either. I don't have serum yet. I am also working on a vital pack, and that is going to include the same kind of patch. I can show this really quickly. Somewhere over here is auto bass, this one over here. This is going to be a very similar kind of patch. As you can see, it currently uses also the freeform phase saw processing normalized. What you can do is, again, in here, go into the bass tables, no sub part, and then you can just scroll any of the processes in here. This is actually faster if you want to audition different ones. As you can see, a whole bunch of different wavetables over here, a whole bunch of different ways of phase shifting. And as I said, these are just resolutions. So in the beginning, there's no phase shift whatsoever, and then it slowly just creeps up to having all the phase shift that you might want. All of these normal bumps seem a little bit strange. Maybe if I go like this. Yeah, this one seems a little bit more normal. No multiband? No. So that's the whole idea. The processing is already captured in the wavetable so that I don't have to do multiband processing. And therefore you don't have to resample your bassline. Because the problem with multiband is that you have to resample. You're getting my Vital Pack. I don't have the Vital Pack out yet. I'm still working on that. That will also come out together with the bass tables pack. And then from the 20th, I'll be running a sale. What you can do to keep up to date is go to my Gumroad page. And here you can subscribe to the email list so that you get an email once the sale goes live and all of the new packs go live as well. That way you can purchase them. It's an easy way to stay up to date with all of my products in that regard.
What packs do I use when producing?
Need a list of all of the packs you use. The main stuff that I use, generally speaking, is my own. There's a few packs in here that I can show you. I use maybe 10 presets out of all of the packs here combined in total. And the rest is all sound designed by me, either in these presets over here, which I use a lot more. This is my Psychedelic Essentials Volume 3, but Volume 2 and 1 are also very nice. But the main way that I sound design is mainly through the Tones pack, my Wavetable pack, or any of the other packs that I have over here. Even the Dadapsai ones are very good. I have some different wavetables for bassline. This one is from MindB, who is in the chat here. The other one is the product that is coming out soon on my own Gumroad, which is the Projektor bass tables pack here.
How does swing work with delays?
If you have a track with swing, is using a delay even viable, or do you have to kind of create all of your delay tails in bounced audio? Aha, I didn't read that first question, sorry. When it comes to the swing and all of that stuff, the delays are still viable. They have to repeat evenly though, so I would go for normal eighth notes, normal quarter notes, normal half notes, stuff like that. The dotted stuff I think doesn't really work with swing. Because as you said, indeed, you're a 16 note off of the pattern where it should be. I only asked because something sounded off when I was using delay with swing tracks. Yeah, that could be the case. I've never heard of psytrance with swing. It does happen sometimes. It is a nice way to spice up a track every once in a while. It's mainly for the more progressive stuff, I would say. Asterix does it as well. Gayatri, I think, is one of the tracks that has swing. I know for a fact that a remix of Vicious Voices has some swing in there as well. I believe Sanape could also be a track that uses swing in its production somewhere. All of those I would have to check if that's actually correct. I haven't actually looked through that to say it like that.
Do I ever use the same kick in multiple tracks?
Do you ever use the same kick in different tracks? Nowadays, not anymore. Since I published the video on the kick drum plugin here by Audija. Audija. This video did really well for me, but I just also really like the plugin. I really started thinking about how I should design my kick drum for psytrance, and that is one of the things that I've been doing differently now, is that I create the kick drum for the project. This is the first project in which I'm doing that, by the way. Before then, and this is some really cool stuff as well if you're looking for kick drums, I had this Psychedelic Drum Pack Volume 1 over here, which had in-tempo rendered out kicks for a whole bunch of different keys. So as you can see, it's 138 BPM, 140 BPM, 141 BPM, 143, 145, 147. And that's basically all the BPMs that I ever would need to work in. So I would have kick drums forever, basically. And then, yes, I would reuse some of the same kicks in here. I also have my Quality Kicks pack, which is another 43 kicks that I could use. And I use some of those as well. So I mainly use samples, and then, yeah, it could happen that sometimes I use the same sample for two different tracks. When it comes through the processing and the mixing and all of that stuff, all of the things that I'm putting on top of it as well, I don't think you will necessarily hear that in the final mix, right? Because there's a lot of different things that kind of change the kick drum. Not just on the kick drum itself, the EQing, whatever you do, but also how you layer your bass line on top, or how you kind of combine it with the bass line and what elements you put on top of it. All of that stuff is really important to the final tonality of the track, and that's really what is most important. It's not that you hear the kick and bass on its own either way, like a lot. Yeah, so on the Ultimate Guide, this pack you mentioned, I'll probably pick that up. It is a really nice pack to just throw in a kick drum and be done with it. What might end up happening is for some productions that I'll still start out with a kick from this pack over here, just so that I have a kick that I can quickly just throw in there and I don't have to worry about the kick design. And then later on, once I decide like, okay, I like where this production is going, I think that this is an idea that I should develop, then I can worry about, okay, how do I get the kick that I exactly want? Okay, we'll check the vid about that plugin. I would find it surprising if you haven't seen it yet, because it's been one of my most popular videos. It has been my most popular video ever in terms of how it performs per day. It's not the highest view counts that I've ever had yet. But as you can see over here, normally my stuff is down below here in the gray, but as you can see, this one is, after 5 days at 11k views, it's doing massively well for me. So I would be surprised if anyone has not seen that video yet on their timeline somewhere, at least. I saw it in the timeline, didn't check it yet. Yeah, I would be surprised if it wasn't showing up, because it's doing really well, that video. I'm really happy with that, because it shows that some of the things that I've been doing to improve the long format videos are actually working out. At least if I can replicate this kind of success. If I can get a few videos to perform like that, then obviously it would be massive for the channel. Just having the one doesn't really do much because it's not sustainable. You want to have a few that then start to together kind of rise in the algorithm. So I need to make a few other videos that perform in the same way. And I think I have 1 or 2 in the pipeline coming out that will do the same kind of numbers, maybe. Hopefully, at least. If the topic is interesting enough to a large audience. Because I didn't expect this one to pop off the way it did.
A simple feature I want in Ableton.
It would be cool if you could set a default octave that it loads in, because it always loads in G3 for me. And almost all of my stuff has to go down 3 octaves for it to actually make sense. So it'd be nice to have it by default on that lower octave.
Issues with wavetable basses.
I had one other question about the wavetable bass. The transient sounds kind of scuffed when doing higher bass notes like octaves.
I personally haven't noticed that. I guess it's because the normal method has the saw playing high pitch then processing. No, what I would do is play in G sharp or in C1. Whenever I make wavetables, what I do is I render out a saw wave in C1. So this tone over here, I would render that out in 4 bars, and then I import using Faceplant. So if you have Faceplant, its wavetable feature, you can import the sample like that. You just go in here, open this up, drag it in here, then choose correlate and write C2 in the frequency as opposed to C1. You want to add 1 to the octave that you import over in here, and then you choose correlate, click OK, and then in the fixes normalize RMS, and that is how I create my wavetables. Of course, you render this out as an audio file, or freeze it or flatten it and just apply your processing to it. That way you get your bass wavetables, and that should give you clean enough results to not have issues with the transients and stuff like that. Where do you learn all of this? Experimentation. Just experimenting with different ways that sound works and stuff like that will get you very far. I was just dragging into Serum following along with your video. I may have picked a bad wavetable position. If you have my wavetable pack, then yeah, you could just use the one that I provide. So in my wavetable pack, if you open up Serum, but then you don't have to make your own wavetables. Then you don't have to import anything. Then you just go in here, wavetables, and then saw waves in here. Just make sure that the wavetables is actually in the wavetables folder so that you can immediately open it up from here. You don't want to take these wavetables and actually use the import feature that it has. So you don't want this to show up when you're opening up wavetables. You just want to select wavetables from here and then just click the one that you need. And in this case, as you could see, you would get a very nice area that you can just set the phase maybe like this right before it. And then you should have a very nice strong transient. So this is the main wavetable that you can use. There's also the Icon has kick one, which does something very similar. If you set it to maybe something like this, and then you set the phase right about here, you'll get a nice click out of it as well. So that should get you nice transients. I use percussions for clicks or transients, gives me more control. I don't like to do that. I like to get my transient directly from the bassline itself and then enhance it with the processes that you've seen over here. But it's going to depend on the type of psytrance that you're creating and how you're creating it, which workflow works best for you.
Do I use Overdrive?
You don't like Overdrive? I never see you use it. I mean, I do sometimes use the Overdrive that is in here. This one over here. The ones that I prefer on stuff like my asset lines and stuff like that is these ones from MDMX. Both the Overdrive and the other two, which is a little bit stronger and a little bit lesser distortion. So this is the screamer. I believe this is the least amount of distortion that it creates, and then the most amount of distortion is the fuzz pedal over here. So these are all based off the classic guitar amps kind of stuff, and I use these all the time. They're very nice.
Discussing OTT.
OTT can destroy your dynamics a lot. I only use it very carefully. I like it. I like to put OTT on a lot of things. I also like the saturator to really crush it. I do like to crush some of my dynamics from time to time. Maybe I should back off with some of these though that I have set at 100% here.
The Ableton one just sounds good. There's also a free one from Nembrini Audio.
I mean, the original OTT is from the guys that made Serum, Extra Records. So I usually, if I need a free one in a different DAW, like if I'm mixing in Reaper and I need an OTT, I'll use that one. But most of the time, once I'm in the mixing stage, the dynamic processing that I need to do is really, I need to be more careful than you can be with an OTT. So I end up not really using OTT in the mixing stage all that much.
So that will be it for today. I hope you enjoyed this one. Let me know if you did by leaving a like and making sure that you're subscribed. Of course, there's 2 videos up on the screen right now, so you can continue watching. So just pick one and enjoy, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.